Back here on HQ Spotlight, we are getting a look at the NFC West standings. So we got the Seahawks and the Rams right in it in the fight for the division right now, sitting at 5-2. Rams are currently the favorite to win the division at +110. The Niners at 5-3. The Cardinals at the bottom of the NFC West, sitting at 2-5, and they are, of course, the long shot to win the NFC West. So Rand back with us, and we're going to discuss trade deadline needs for every team here in the NFC West. And we want to start with the Niners. And this is a team where, yet again, they have just been dealing with injury after injury after injury. It was something that really plagued this team last season. So when you're considering that and then also watching that game against the Texans, what is the glaringly obvious need that they have to address here?
It's got to be edge. No matter if you're calling it an outside linebacker or a defensive end, it's got to be edge. Obviously, you lose Nick Bosa, he goes down. Bryce Huff goes down. Your Tur Gross-Mato goes down. Sam O gets hurt yesterday. And they've been linked to Arden Key of the Tennessee Titans, and we've seen Tennessee Titans been willing to do business and move on from some guys to acquire draft picks. And Arden really revitalized his career in San Francisco after he was picked up from the then Oakland Raiders. And so that's a guy that they've been linked to, which would be a good fit because he can play outside, he could play inside and give them the versatility, but San Francisco will need to address the edge. Yeah,
and we just saw all of those ranks for their pass rush. It's not very pretty so far this season. Want to get to the Rams, and we got to give you credit, Rand, because you turned in your paper well before this trade went down, and you said, hey, the Rams, they need to address the corner position, and they did it shortly after, getting Roger McCreary. So talk to us a little bit about that fit and what you think about it.
So Roger he can play outside, but Roger's arm length is on the shorter side, so his best position is nickel. And him playing nickel for the Rams will now allow them to move Quentin Lake back to safety and move him around into a variety of places because he had been serving kind of as a big nickel for them. But Roger is a really good coverage player in terms of being able to play man-to-man, match up against some of those slot corners. But where Roger really excels in the nickel position is being a C-gap run defender because he is tough as all get out. He's a really good tackler, and he's not afraid to insert in the run game fits, taking on tight ends and linemen and fullbacks, if you will. So that's going to be a really good fit for this Rams team, and they have one of the better DB coaches in Aubrey Pleasant that is going to get his hands on him and be able to really help mold Rodgers' game. Now, the next thing for the Rams and for Rodgers' representation is to figure out if this is going to be a long-term deal because Roger is on the final year of his rookie contract.
Could you see it happening, being more of a long-term thing?
It could be. It could be. And again, it's a really good fit. And we were talking about, given Rodgers' background, he's from Mobile, Alabama. Well, Rams GM Les Snead is from Eufaula, Alabama. So there could be a bit of a connection there. But Roger is going to be a really good fit for this Rams team.
Okay, and we talked about it. As of right now, it looks like it's the Rams and the Seahawks. We can't really count the Niners out, but let's talk about Seattle because right now, looking pretty good. And when we're looking at the receiver room, you have JSN, you have Cooper Kupp, but you think they might need to get a little something more in that department.
Yeah, and I'm saying this more as a wide receiver 3 type fit for me because JSN has established himself as a legit superstar in this league and one of the better pure crisp route runners. We know who Cooper Kupp is. Cooper Kupp is reliable, but we have to be honest, Cooper Kupp is not the same Cooper Kupp. And you have Tony Horton, who has been their third, but he has 0 catches over the last 2 games on only 4 targets. So their next 2 guys in terms of receiving are their 2 tight ends. Right, A.J. Barner and Arroyo. And so this is a position that I think that they could get better in terms of adding some speed on the outside, a guy that could stretch the field and provide big plays down the field. And the other position I threw in another was their 3rd corner, right? Devon Witherspoon has missed some time, been in and out, but he's been a really good player when he's in the lineup. And there had been some talk potentially about Reek Woolen being on the move and them being able to shop him. But Josh Jobe has stepped in and had to play a lot on the outside for him, and he's been solid. But I think if they're going to compete in this division and be able to compete in the playoffs, you're going to need a little bit better option than Josh Jobe out there on the outside.
Yeah, and competing in this division, if we learned anything from last season, it was crazy. There was a new division leader, it felt like every single week, down to the very last wire, the last minute, right? Want to get to the Cardinals. They're sitting at the bottom of the division. I had to do a double take that they've lost 5 straight games because they have. Kyler Murray dealing with an injury here, so it feels like there might be a lot of different needs, but what is priority number one in your eyes?
Priority number one is running back. Has to be. The loss of James Conner, we knew it was going to be a big one just because of his leadership and what he brought to the table. But I don't think we knew it was going to be this big. Kyler Murray, you mentioned he's dealt with an injury, a foot injury, and he missed last week's game.
Yep.
And he is still the leading rusher. There is not a running back on this roster that has 200 yards rushing in 7 games. And so you need someone in the backfield that's going to be consistent and be able to provide those snaps for them in the backfield that you know you can unequivocally turn around, hand the ball off in those 4-minute situations and allow you to eat up some of that clock and get those first down. So I think running back, if they're going to buy, I think running back should be the position.
Yeah, and the Cardinals on a bye. We are hearing that Kyler Murray is expected to come back this week against the Cowboys, but of course that could change. That's what we're hearing so far. Want to get that mid-season pick to win the NFC West? What do you got? Who do you like? It feels more tough for this division.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm saying ooh is because I'm a Niners guy, right?
Yeah.
And I don't hide that by any stretch. Because you're going to get Brock Purdy back at some point. You're going to get Ricky Pearsall back at some point, but you're also going to get Brandon Ayuk hopefully back at some point, which will allow them to have their firepower. But I think right now, if I had to hang my hat on any one team, I would go with the Rams. Because I think the Rams of this division, I think they're the most complete team. Now, if the Niners were healthy, the Niners will unequivocally be my unbiased choice. And I think the Seahawks defense is elite. I just want to see if that offense will be able to be consistent enough down the stretch. And right now, I'm going to give the edge to the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, and it certainly is impressive because I remember in the offseason, Matt Stafford, he didn't practice, right? Dealing with that back tightness or whatever it was. And we're like, okay, Matt Stafford, he's getting up there in age. And what is he going to do? And man, he just
he looks
great.
And for some people, Matt Stafford is in the MVP conversation.
Yes.
And just sometimes when you're a little seasoned, you know, as like myself, you just need a backiotomy. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
Just sometimes your back gets tight and you just got to work it out. But you have to commend Sean McVay, Reggie Scott, Byron Cunningham, their sports medicine people, which they do a really good job and probably better than most in terms of understanding the athlete in terms of rest, practice, and the way they use their guys. I mean, you look at how they approach traveling. How when they went over to London, they went over the night before a game because they practiced all week in Baltimore at Camden Yards. That is something that most teams wouldn't even bother to do. At the latest, they will go out on Thursday. But they treated it just like a regular road game because they are typically used to traveling from west to east. And so the sports science folks, again, Reggie Scott, Byron Cunningham, they did their thing, and that's why they've been able to keep guys out there on the field.
That's a really great perspective because it's the little things like that do have an impact on your body that you might not really, take account for, but it sounds like it's certainly paying off, right? Rand, we appreciate it, talking through the trade deadline needs for not only the AFC West, but for the NFC West as well. And we're getting a look at the Week 9 slate for the division. We got the Niners and the Giants on CBS, the Rams double-digit favorites against the Saints, the Seahawks and the Commanders, and then the Cardinals and the Cowboys. As mentioned, we are hearing that Kyler Murray is expected to come back for that game Monday night, 8:15 p.m. Eastern in Week 9.